Hi guys. So the other day I was looking around my room and I realized that my walls are really blank, like prison cell blank. So I decided that maybe I should get something on my walls. So I go over to Amazon, I go to Walmart, I start looking around. Man, I am not rich enough to have nice walls. Now I understand why prisons have blank walls. So then I thought, well, you know what? I have a 3D printer, so I should use that. So now I'll show you guys how you can also get some sweet wall art by just going to Thingiverse and finding beautiful models, or better yet, making your own and then uploading it to Thingiverse and printing it. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to find cool wall art on Thingiverse, how to load it onto the printer, how to print, particularly this model which has exposed infill, and how to mount it to your wall without damaging the wall. So without further ado, as promised, I'm going to show you actually how a 3D print is made. So first step is you're going to go and you need something called an STL, which is basically a 3D object format. So same as like a video game, three-dimensional object or whatever. So the best place to do that so far is Thingiverse, which is just this huge repository of all kinds of random 3D objects. So people have all kinds of stuff from like door stops to Mahjong players pieces to Catan pieces. Almost anything you can imagine is on Thingiverse.com. In our case, we're curious kind of what's in the realm of wall art. So we're going to search for some wall art on here. As you can see, there's all kinds of stuff on here. There's Mickey Mouse, dinosaurs, Star Wars, Superman, superheroes. Almost anything you can imagine is available as some piece of wall art. In our case, we're kind of interested in making a Saturn V wall art piece. So I'll type that in. Here we can see we found it already. And as you can see, the Saturn V rocket is here. It looks a little bit different than mine because I printed it with different infill style than the original maker. So thank you to Doug Feig, who actually made this model. So in order to get it, all we have to do is hit download. So this is going to come up. We hit save as. In my case, I've already saved it to my machine, so you don't have to watch my computer download it. So here it is. So you're going to get a zip file from Thingiverse. Once you have the zip file, you're going to go ahead and you're going to open it in the file location. You're going to right click and you're going to hit extract all and extract in place. And then that'll give you a file. Inside of the file, you usually have a couple of things. Images are talking about the images that would come with that are in the display. So you can actually see how it looks on Thingiverse. And here are the files. So here we can actually see this is the Saturn V wall art. If we actually open it in Microsoft's 3D Studio software, which comes with Windows now, you can actually see that this is, like I said, it's just a three-dimensional model. There's nothing special about it. It's just a relatively flat 3D model. So, but whenever you have an STL, that's just a 3D model. In order to convert that into plastic, the 3D printer has to move through a certain set of paths while extruding plastic. So the instructions that tell the printer what to do are actually specified by something called G-code. So to convert the model into G-code, we use another piece of software called a slicer. In my case, I'm going to use Cura. Cura is great free open source. It's not open source, actually. It's just free software made by Ultimaker, which is a brand of 3D printer. And the nice thing is that Cura is compatible with all 3D printers, essentially, because it generates G-code, which all 3D printers take G-code. So you can have an Ender 3 or an Ultimaker or whatever you'd like. It's still going to use G-code. So let's go ahead and open up Cura. So this is what Cura looks like when you start it up. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit Open Files. And here's our Saturn V STL. So we're going to hit Open. And here it is. So now the first thing we're going to notice is that it's hashed. That means it's a little bit too big. So in my case, because my build plate on my Ender 3 is not that big, I'm going to go ahead and scale this down to 95%. So now we can see it fits beautifully in the build volume. So now we're pretty much ready. Now, the first thing is that we want exposed infill. The maker of this had his with exposed infill, which I like the idea. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually scroll down and we're going to make sure that this top and bottom thickness is set to 0. So what this is doing is that usually when you print, you have a top layer and a bottom layer. So this removes them, so it just prints the infill, but it still prints the lateral walls, which is very important. Otherwise, it would just disintegrate. So we're going to go ahead and choose that. And we're going to go down. So, and then infill density is something you're going to want to play with. So, for example, let's say we have 60. If we hit prepare, it's going to now slice it. It's going to make the G-code. The cool thing about Cura is they actually have a mode that lets you see everything as it would print. So this is kind of what our model would look like if we printed it at 60% infill. Looks pretty good. But let's try printing it at maybe 20%, see how it would look then. So we have to re-prepare it. So it's slicing it up now. Alright, slicing, and dicing, and here we go. So this is a little bit too fine, too large, so it wouldn't show up kind of as black and white. So we're probably going to want to go to maybe 70%. Let's go ahead and make that a nice 70%. Of course, if you want it to be solid black, you just leave the top layers as they were, right? You just leave layers. In my case, I do like this kind of like fuzzy look to it, because otherwise it would be too shiny, but this gives it a kind of a rough texture, so you don't see it shiny. So now that looks pretty good. Everything looks good. So now what you would do, it depends on your printer now. I have Octoprint on my printer, which means I can hit print here and it will automatically print on my machine. If you don't have Octoprint, you can actually plug in usually like my Ender 3 has a little flash drive. Well, it's not really a flash drive, it's an SD card. So you just plug the SD card in, save this to the SD card, plug it into the printer, hit print, and then it'll print. And that should be the end of it. Then after about an hour and a half, you'll have yourself a beautiful piece of wall art. So that's pretty much it from the computer endpoint of things. So as you can see, 3D printing is pretty simple once you have all the tools you need and you know where to go for models. To make something like the Saturn V model is a bit different, so I'm hopefully going to show that in a later video. Awesome. The print finished. You can actually see all the exposed infill here and everything beautiful. I did make a mistake by not turning off the setting that avoids crossing over the infill. So I have a nice little line there, but overall it came out pretty good. So we had to wait actually because this model was stuck so well to this glass plate for my Ender 3 that I couldn't remove it. So now I'm ready to remove it. So time to go ahead and do that, which is extremely satisfying. So, like I said, it's really well stuck on there. I'm thinking that wall could use a little bit of Saturn V inspiration. And Musia agrees. Turns out to mount something nice to your wall, you need some blue sticky tack. So, time to go to Walmart. Got the fun tack. So now we're ready to go ahead and put this bad boy on a wall. So I had a sweet video clip of me putting sticky tack onto these things. As you can see kind of how I've done it. It's nothing too crazy, just put it all over the place so it sticks. And then my phone died, so no montage for you. Alright, it's time to mount this stuff. So we're going to start with the first stage because that's the biggest one. Or maybe actually let's start with the middle stage because then we can set the middle of the rocket pretty well. So we want it to be about centered over this television. So center's about here. And then we want it to be about this high and kind of an angle like that. So just tack it to the wall a little bit. Nothing special about that. There you go. Looks pretty good. And there you have it. That's how you can go ahead and make a piece of wall art using nothing but your 3D printer, a couple cents worth of plastic, and a little bit of time. So I think it turned out pretty great, and I hope you agree. If you'd like to see more videos kind of in a similar vein involving 3D printing and various art projects or engineering projects, feel free to subscribe. I'm just getting started, so if you have any tips on how I can improve these videos, let me know in the comments. Bye.